Welcome back to my YouTube channel. For anyone new here, my name is Alana and I have been a commercial model for over 12 years. In today's video, I am going to share with you how I booked the biggest campaign of my career. It was a TV commercial and it actually just came on the TV. I feel like it's kind of weird that the day that I sat down to film this video was the first time I actually seen it on the telly. God, that sounds so English. So at the start of this video, I'm going to explain how I booked this TV commercial because I actually booked this TV commercial directly. So I didn't actually do it through an agency because I have representation back in the UK, but right now I'm currently in New Zealand. And whenever we come over to New Zealand, we didn't really have any intention of doing any modeling, so we didn't sign up to an agency. But then I ended up booking this job, and then since then kind of just been booking quite a lot of really fun modeling jobs around here. And because it's been working quite well just doing it ourselves and not through an agency, I think we're going to carry on whilst we're here just doing jobs directly. The second half of this video, I'm going to explain 5 ways in which you can book paid jobs as a model or even as an actor if you cannot get representation by a model agency. Let's get started. We arrived in New Zealand probably about 7 months ago now. I actually have a friend here who was a stylist at Dorothy Perkins, which is where I modeled for 7 years. So whenever I come over here, she was giving us lots of tips on obviously what to do in the area, and she explained that there was this Facebook group that they have here in Queenstown. It's just a group for everyone who lives in the area just to kind of communicate and post things on there. Join the group, and I seen that a local photographer had posted a thing in there. The photographer that actually got us into cast for this job, she's also a casting director. I reached out to her, I applied for it, and she emailed me back and was like, oh my god, this is such a coincidence. I'm casting for a really big TV commercial. I need a mum and dad. Do you and Josh want to come in and cast for it? So we were like, yes, absolutely. For anyone who lives in the UK and models in the UK or really anywhere in the world, like getting a job or getting a casting that's literally 5 minutes on your doorstep, like just doesn't happen. Like I have traveled over 5 hours each way to a casting before and not booked the job. So we went to the casting, and a few days later I get an email and I find out that I've got a call back. Whenever we went to the first edition, I found out how much money it was for, and I was like, oh my god, I really want to book this job. So usually whenever you do TV commercial, there's a day rate that you get paid, and then there's the buyout. The buyout is where the big money is. So it all depends on how long they buy it out for, where they want to buy it out for. So the reason why this job was so much money was because to buy it out for 3 years, it was going to be $36,000. Into the callback, I've actually got a little clip of the audition that I'm going to show you guys now. This was for my callback. I met Josh afterwards and I was like, oh, I don't know, like I don't feel like I'm gonna get it. I don't know why, I just have this feeling in my stomach that I'm not gonna get it. But the world must have been sending me mixed messages because the next day I got an email and found out that I had booked the job. Obviously I was just absolutely buzzing my tits off whenever I found out I booked the job. Also because I hadn't shot a TV commercial in so long. Probably like the last time I think I shot one was maybe like 2-3 years ago. I used to shoot TV commercials all the time. I think over the course of my career I've shot something like maybe 15 or 20 TV commercials. So guys, you're probably all wondering who the TV commercial was for. It was for a brand called Michael Hill, which is a really big jewelry brand over here in New Zealand, Australia and Canada. Basically the equivalent of maybe like H. Samuels or Beaverbrooks in the UK. So they're a really big company and they were lovely to work for. The cast and crew over the few days of shooting were absolutely amazing. It was one of the most funnest shoots I've ever worked on. And for anyone interested in seeing the TV commercial, I'm about to start rolling now. share these 5 ways on how you can book some modeling or some acting jobs without an agent, I just want to say that you should only do these things if you cannot get represented by an agency. Absolutely, the first port of call should be to try and get representation. I mean, there are several reasons. I'm not going to go into huge detail on this video. I might actually make another video where I discuss, you know, the pros and cons of being freelance and being represented by an agency. But I personally feel like the pros of being represented by an agency completely outweigh a freelance model or actor. But the reason why I was happy enough to not get represented by an agency here in New Zealand was because I actually used to work as a model booker in an agency. So I know how it works, I know how booking forms work, I know how contracts work, I know how the casting side of things work. I understand how I should be treated, how I should be paid, how I vet a client. I understand all of that. That's not to say that you cannot do this if you don't know anything about the modeling and acting industry. All I'm saying is you just need to be a little bit more careful. The first point I am going to talk about is, and I think you'll probably have already guessed it because I just discussed it in my story that I just shared with you, and that is to join Facebook groups. There are a lot of Facebook groups out there that are dedicated to models, photographers, makeup artists. On these Facebook groups, people will share modeling jobs on there. Now, to find these Facebook groups, all you have to do is just type into your search bar in Facebook, maybe like a models group or a photographers group, and usually the groups are like combined, so it'll have like model photographers and makeup artists in it. There is groups that are specific to your area, so I know that there is a lot of groups like this in the UK. There's also a lot of groups like that all over the world, so that is one way that you can find some paid work. But like I just said, please be careful. If you see someone posting a job in there, make sure you ask as much questions as possible about the job, find as much information as you can about the client, about the photographer, come out on social media to know that they're legitimate. If you're going to a modeling job, make sure you tell someone where you're going, what time you're going to be there, send them the address, turn on your Find My Friend. Please, please, please be very, very careful. This applies to all the points that I'm going to explain. So the second thing that you can do to find work as a model is join online sites. So there's some sites out there where you can basically go on and casting directors and photographers and makeup artists and all sorts of people will post jobs on there where they're actually looking for models. I think there's the site maybe called like Star Now. There's one maybe called Monday, I'm not sure if that's still going. Also models.com, they also post jobs on there. You control what jobs you want to put yourself forward for. So like on these sites, they will have a list of modeling jobs and you choose what you want to put yourself forward for, and then you will have to deal with the client directly yourself. I'm not personally recommending any of these sites because I do not use these sites, and I know some people who are on those sites and have got jobs through there. I mean, agencies do not like these sites, and I mean rightly so. It's people who are wanting to cut out agencies so that they can get cheaper fees. If you're on these sites, you know, you're probably not going to be getting paid the money that you should be getting paid if you're with an agency. But again, if you cannot get representation by an agency, or if it's just something you want to do casually and you don't want to be represented by an agency and you're maybe just someone who wants to do little bits and pieces here and there, they're definitely something worth looking into. The best thing to do is to just search them in Google and find them in your area. I'm sure there's sites like that all over the world. So no matter where you are, I'm sure you'll be able to find sites like that. So the third thing you can do to get modeling and acting jobs is reach out to local production companies, reach out to local photographers, just reach out to potential clients in your area. Again, please do not do this if you're represented by an agency. And so whenever you reach out to these people, it's best just send an email and just say like, hey, this is who I am, this is my stats, here's some pictures attached, I'm available for any modeling opportunities that you may have, please keep me in mind, here's my contact details. This is a great way to get modeling or some acting work if you cannot get signed to an agency. We recently just done a job through a local production company here in Queenstown. It was actually for Juicy. I think I can't actually show you the video. Again, it was another video shoot because it's not yet live, but I can quickly show you a little behind the scenes. The people who are actually the talent alongside us on this job were two people who had never modeled a day in their life. So this just goes to show that you do not need to have modeled or acted a day in your life, and you do not need to be represented by an agency in order to get work. Actually, from doing this job, it got us booked on another modeling job, which brings me on to my next point, my fourth point. One of the best ways to get modeling jobs is through networking. And the best way to network is whenever you are actually on a shoot, make sure you are polite and professional to everyone on that shoot. No matter what someone's role is regarding talent or crew, be lovely to everyone and make the effort to get to know every single person. Because whenever we did that job for Juicy recently, of the people who were actually on that shoot, whenever we left, we gave them our contact details, and a few weeks later that person's partner works here for Destination Queenstown, and they reached out to us and said, my partner recommended you, did the job a few weeks ago with Juicy, we would really love to book you on a modeling job here for Destination Queenstown, which was really exciting. I mean, that was a fantastic shoot. We spent a few hours one evening going to loads of different bars and restaurants in Queenstown, eating and drinking whilst they took pictures. And again, everyone that was on that job with us, me and Josh were the only two professional models on that job. Everyone else had never modeled or acted a day in their life. So again, it just goes to show you do not need to be someone in the industry to book jobs. Guys, I mean, just as a rule of thumb, no matter who you meet in life, just be nice. Be polite, be kind, be lovely, because you do not know who they are and you do not know what opportunities they could open up for you. Okay guys, my fifth and final way that you can get paid modeling or acting work is through social media. I mean, I can't really give 5 ways that you can book jobs without listing social media, because everyone knows these days that that is a great way to book jobs. My light just died. Okay, do you know what? Like, I cannot wait for this light to recharge, so the show must go on. I'll really quickly rattle this out. Okay, guys, the first thing that you need to do is to join any agencies that you want to get represented by, but you have not successfully gained representation from, because agencies all the time post casting calls on their page. For example, they may have a job that comes in and the client may need 15 people who can face paint for a role in a TV commercial, but they may not have 15 people on the books that can face paint. So what they'll do is they'll put this post on their social media site saying, is there anyone out there who can face paint? We're looking for models for this shoot who can paint faces. This is such a random example I've used, but bear with me. Then what will happen is you can email the agency and say, I've seen your casting call, I'm interested in doing this. And if they book you in the job, more often than not, if you do a good job on that job, they might be like, hey, you know what, we want to represent you and you could get more paid work. The thing you need to do is, again, follow any photographers, production companies, casting companies in your area, because again, all the time they put casting calls out there that they may actually be going to agencies, but they also may just want like people who aren't represented by agencies. So make sure you follow those in your area. How do you know what ones are in your areas? Google it. Can't get any easier. Third thing that you need to do is, if you are a freelance model, you want to be a professional freelance model, you need to set up a business page on Instagram. So do not use your personal page to be reaching out to casting calls, because like if you're posting pictures there where you're on a night out and you're getting drunk with your friends, that does not look very professional. That does not give you off in a good light. So set up a professional modeling page where you post any professional model pictures you have on there, and again, that way you can reach out to brands, production companies, photographers in your area. Last and final thing you can do, if there's a company that you really want to model for, slide into their DMs and ask if you can be a model on their next shoot. Okay guys, the likelihood if you're reaching out to someone like Zara and then coming back and saying yes is very slim. I'm not saying that this is what you should do, but I just kind of live off the rule, if you don't ask, you don't get. And what's the worst that can happen? They'll either ignore your message or they'll say no, or best case scenario, they'll say yes. Also, please do not do any of these things if you are represented by an agency. Your agency will not appreciate you cutting them out and going to people directly. Do not do that, because they will more than likely take you off their books, and you don't need to do any of these things if you have an agency. If you have an agency, work really hard with them to get you work. I feel like a lot of people just think, oh, I've got an agency now, I'm just going to leave them to it. Yes, they are there to get you work, but there's also a lot of things that you can do to help them get you more work, which I'm not going to go into in this video. I'm going to be releasing lots more videos than that, but I just wanted to make a point of saying that. So guys, that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it to the end, make sure you hit subscribe, and if you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you next week. Thank you.